Welcome to OrganicAuthority.com TV, the internet's #1 eco-chic cooking show where everything is green, organic, and absolutely delicious. No pesticides, hormones, chemicals allowed, or antibiotics. I am your host, Laura Klein. So today we're gonna make a simple and easy dessert that you can serve up for the holidays, and it is a Tarte Tatin, and it is super delicious. Now this is a classic French dessert that is pretty easy to do. So first we're gonna make the dough for our Tarte Tatin, okay? And this is known as the pâte brisée. And honestly, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this stuff correctly because it is French, but it is delicious. So I've got my heavy duty mixer here, and I've got 2 1/4 cups of flour, and I've already sifted it. And what that means is that I've put it through a sifter, or you could just simply use a strainer and just run the flour through it. And so first I'm gonna add a cup of flour to my mixer here, and I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of salt. All right, and I'm just gonna mix that up. I'm just gonna mix this, and as I'm mixing it, I'm gonna add the butter. Now this is 2 sticks of butter, and it is cold. I just pulled it out of the refrigerator, and I've cut it into small pieces. Okay, so I wanna add the remaining flour, and I'm turning this down a little bit because I don't want the flour to go everywhere. Okay, so now my dough is combined, and I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of ice cold water. All right, and we're gonna combine this. I'm gonna pour this in, and we're gonna run it until it's completely combined. Okay, that's good. Okay, so we have all of our ingredients for our dough brought together, and it's nice and soft, okay? Now this is actually enough to make 2 pies. So I'm just gonna put it into kind of a ball here, and then I'm gonna use this to cut it in half. Now, by the way, if you don't have a heavy duty mixer, you can actually use a hand beater to do this. And you know, I've actually done it. It's not quite as efficient, but just go ahead and do it because you can pull it together in the end with your hands. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring these into balls like so. And I'm gonna wrap these in some plastic wrap. And for those of you out there, you know, who wanna make as green and as an eco-chic kitchen as you can, you know, look for plastic wrap that's PVC free. You can now find it in the marketplace because then it doesn't, you know, leach any chemicals into your food. All right, so next we're gonna get our apples going. I got 3/4 of a cup of turbinado sugar, or otherwise known as raw sugar. And I'm just gonna put it in the bottom of our pan here. And I'm gonna just spread it out into a nice even layer. You can use your rubber spatula for this so you don't have to get your hands dirty. And then I've got 2 tablespoons of butter that I'm just gonna distribute evenly around the pan, because this is all gonna melt together and create a yummy, tasty caramel. And this is about a medium-sized pan. And what's cool about this is that you are actually making the pie in an oven-proof pan. So you do need an oven-proof pan to use this, or you can also use a Tarte Tatin pan if you have one. So next, I've already peeled and cored these apples, okay? So you just want to use a simple vegetable peeler. Take off the skin, use a melon baller if you have one to simply scoop out the core, and then cut off the ends so you've got a nice flat surface. And then I'm simply going to put these apples in the pan in a nice tight circle, as tight as you can, and make a beautiful pie. And that's it. So we're gonna put this on the stove over medium-high heat. And this is gonna cook for about 45 minutes. Really what you want to do is you're creating this yummy, moist caramel, and the raw sugar and the butter is melting together. Now, I'm also adding a half a cup of brandy, and this is just gonna add more flavor to the sauce, which is really yummy. So we're gonna let that cook on high for about 45 minutes. All right, our dough has been in the refrigerator for over an hour. You wanna let the dough rest because otherwise it's going to shrink as it bakes, and you don't want that. So I've taken it out of the plastic wrap and I've floured my cutting board here, and we're just gonna roll it out in a nice circle, okay? And I love these marble rolling pins because they make it really easy to do. And as you do this, you want to make sure you're still on your flour and rotate it as you're rolling it out. And my pan is about 10 inches in diameter. So this guy needs to be a little bit, I want it a little bit wider than 10 inches. I've even got my ruler to measure. All right, so now that we've rolled out our crust, I'm just going to sprinkle it with a little more flour, not a lot, because we're actually gonna fold it in quarters and put it in the refrigerator to rest again until we're ready to put it over our apples. And that's it. All right, you guys, so my apples are done. We've got a nice thick syrup, and I've preheated my oven to 375. I already took my dough out of the refrigerator, and I'm just gonna lay it over the top. Now, I've let my pan cool just a little bit because you really don't want to be working with a super hot pan while you're doing this. So I'm going to actually kind of crimp the edges underneath here, and this is why you don't want the pan super hot, because you'll be touching it a little bit. So I'm just crimping this underneath like so, and it doesn't have to be perfect because this is actually going to be the bottom of your pie. And that's it. And it's going in a 375-degree oven. And we are going to bake it for about 40 to 45 minutes until it's nice and golden brown and bubbly. This is perfect. My crust is a nice golden brown, and it's been in the oven for about 45 minutes. Now, the cooking time is gonna vary just a little bit based upon your oven, so you wanna start checking it at 40 minutes. Now, ideally, you wanna let this cool a little bit before you flip it, but we're gonna go ahead and try to do it right now. So you want a plate that is bigger than your pan, and just lay it on top like so. And then just flip it over. Again, be careful if you're doing this like I am on with a hot plate, or actually a hot pan. And voila, that is gorgeous. Oh my God, I am so psyched on this. Now, if you serve this to your guests, they are absolutely gonna love it. And make this with in-season, fresh, organic apples. Now, ideally, you wanna let it sit for about 30 to 40 minutes before you serve it, but we're gonna go ahead and take a bite. That is really good, and it's really tasty. You're watching OrganicAuthority.com TV, and this is Laura Klein signing off. If you have any questions about any of my recipes, email me at laura@organicauthority.com. See you next time.